Heidi ho!
Guess what? It's book haul time!
It is book haul time.
I used to like love prefacing my videos, but I didn't want to buy so many books, but this month I'm
totally
going to be like,
she just totally
felt like
it.
It was a very
so
stressful work month for me in September because of stuff happening in the office, so I ended up just taking out all my feelings on book buying, apparently. So we're gonna dive right in, and we're gonna start with the books we bought.
I'm gonna start with just a couple of ebooks, and unlike hers, where it was kind of like a splurgy thing, I just did mine because they were on sale. For whatever reason, Neil Gaiman's books were on sale, and I got a copy of Neverwhere and Anansi Boys, very, very cheap on Kindle. And cool. You know me, I'm an avid Kindler. I think Neverwhere is a book that has to do about like an underside of London that nobody knows or sees. And
I actually wanted to read that one.
Right, so that's kind of cool already as a premise. And then there's Anansi Boys, which is a spin-off of the American Gods series, which again centers around gods all over the world are real beings. Anyone familiar with the Sandman series knows that there's some gods mucking about doing stuff. American Gods specifically is interesting because America has given birth to or brought to life new gods. Gods that we've never been seen before, but are definitely beings that humans now give their love and attention and their worship to. And how that fares with the old gods is going to be interesting because it centers around the life of Shadow, who may or may not necessarily be connected to these gods, but is hired by one of them to do some stuff. I don't know if Shadow's going to be featured in the Anansi Boys series, but we do know that the Anansi Boys are the sons of Anansi, the spider god from Africa, who made waves in the Stars, was it Stars? TV series. And I just wanted to see more of that, so that's why we got the books. Well, I got the books.
I was gonna say that these were all new releases from the month of September, but I realized our book hauls are never really monthly in a sense. So these are all like the recent releases that I bought first before we get to the other part. So first we have Aquacorn Cove by Katie O'Neill. If this illustration style looks familiar to you, this is the same person who did the Tea Dragon Society, which was very cute and which I loved. In this one, it's about a girl named Lana, and she and her dad go back to like their former hometown to visit her aunt and to help with the coastal cleanup after a big storm has just happened. And it's also essentially about more than that. It's like a commentary almost about what humans sometimes do and how that affects the environment and all of the creatures that live in said environment. And it's so cute and so magical and so lovely, and I really enjoyed it and would highly recommend checking it out. Then I went to the book event for this at the Strand with both of the authors and Sarah McLean, and this book is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. And it is essentially about Hazel and Josh, who are only friends and will never date, and they somehow wind up becoming best friends over the course of this entire story. And obviously it's a romance, and you can probably guess where it ends up. Peer pressure. And also because they're just very, very pretty.
They're pretty.
So I have not yet read either of these books, obviously, because one is new and one has been out for a while, but I really specifically wanted to wait for this release because I really like these covers. And I think my friends Lily and Kristen will be very happy to see it. But I actually have the UK hardcover editions of Vicious and Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. Vicious came out a couple of years ago, and it's about two former friends, or two friends, Eli and Victor, and they are basically conducting a science experiment that turns the people that they are experimenting on into superpowered humans, or turns themselves into superpowered humans. And it's about villainy, and it's about good versus bad, or so I've heard. So I'm very much looking forward to reading both these books, and also they're just very pretty. So, and then we have the UK edition of A Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. This is the follow-up to Strange the Dreamer from last year, which I have not read. I actually deliberately don't know very much about either book because I want to go into them not knowing anything, but I have been assured that I'm going to love it by every single one of my friends. And then I went to the book event for this too, and it's Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Maniscalco. It's the third book in her Stalking Jack the Ripper series. So if the first book investigated the murders by Jack the Ripper, and the second book looked into the Dracula myth, this one is obviously going to be about Houdini. And so the main character Audrey Rose and her paramour, I don't want to say paramour because it just seems so fitting with this like historical setting, Thomas, are headed to the United States, and they're on a boat, and it's another one of those things where a murder and mayhem ensue, and I'm so excited about that. You know what also came out last month and I'm very excited about? Wildcard by Marie Lu. This one is the US cover and this is the UK cover, and I love this book so much. You guys already know how much I love Warcross and Wildcard, but it's just, I'm gonna say it again, this duology is so damn good. The entire premise of the first book is that Emika Chen is a bounty hunter and a hacker, and she somehow manages to hack her way into the opening ceremony game for Warcross, which is this worldwide phenomenon where it's like an
MMORPG.
Basically, that's displayed over real life, sort of like Pokemon Go. She ends up being hired by the creator of the game in order to investigate this person who is trying to disrupt what is going on, like the competition. And she finds herself discovering that there are secrets there. And this is basically what happens after the fallout in the first book, and it is so good. I love it so much. New releases. This is technically a book that came out last year, but this paperback only came out this year, and it's Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow, and it is essentially a fantasy story that explores the origins of the evil queen in Snow White, but with an Asian-inspired setting, and it is really, really good. Like, it's hard to root for someone you know is gonna turn villainous, and yet somehow Jolie Dow manages to make me do it. Like, even though I know the things Shifeng, the main character, is doing are very questionable / wrong, I'm also just like, I want you to win. Like, I want you to win. So that is a feat. Now we move on to the next part of the books I bought, which is stuff to add to my classics and one thing to add to my collection. I went to the Strand, and the thing with the Strand is they carry a lot of things that are like out of print or hard to find. And whenever I'm in there, I'm always like, I'm just gonna go and look at the children's classic literature section. And so the last time I went, I kind of fell into a hole. So first,
she's still there.
We have this edition of The Secret Garden, which is beautiful. Plus, bonus, I actually have an edition of a little princess that looks exactly like this. So great. And then I also have this, like, this is pretty cool. It's like a fold out telling of The Secret Garden. And I don't know if Mackie's gonna be able to get out. But yeah, you basically have a cast of characters, and it just gives you the most important scenes, and it's pretty cool, so I wanted to add it to the collection. And then I picked up this edition of Grimm's The Illustrated Fairy Tales of the Brothers Grimm, just because I thought the cover was so striking. So this is another one from my collections, and I'm so excited to have it. Aesop's Fables, and Aladdin and the Arabian Nights, and these are both Barnes & Noble leather-bound classics editions. They're so pretty. They're blue and purple. I particularly love the Aladdin cover because it's gorgeous. The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim, and I will tell you that I honestly don't remember what this is about. I just really like this cover, and it's been on my wish list for like years. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which I thought would be a good like November read. I don't know why, but it just gives me that vibe. And then we have this whole bunch of Penguin clothbound classics. So first is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte.
The heights, they weather.
Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, which I have actually read and loved. The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is by Oscar Wilde, and I just really like this cover. I have this funny feeling that I am not gonna like this story, but I really like this cover.
Yeah, the story ages well.
And this one, I'm really excited. The Odyssey by Homer, which I actually have read and also really love, and I'm very excited about this edition. Another one for my Secret Garden collection, it is this edition of The Secret Garden. It is very, very pretty and shiny. There are other books that look like this. The one I want to get next is The Little Prince because it's also very pretty. And last, a newest addition to our Harry Potter collection. It's the illustrated version of Tales of Beedle the Bard, and this one is by Chris Rydell, who does a lot of Neil Gaiman's illustrated stuff too. And I love it. I think it's flipping fantastic. I love the cover of it as well. Plus this is like a matte cover, so it's actually like soft to the touch. That's all the books I bought. I finally made it!
Hooray! So in this next section, we're going to talk about books that our friends kind of slid our way, which is super awesome and very thoughtful of them that they would remember us. Well, anyway, Kristen and Andrew from Super Spaceship and Team Silver Space were at New York Comic Con at a book event that had to do with R.A. Salvatore and Patrick Rothfuss, and they were able to slide us some copies of Timeless and The Name of the Wind.
Kristen and Andrew insist we read this book
because lovingly because it was written over several years in terms of preparation and everything, and is the anniversary edition, oddly enough, and they can say and even there's so much detail that you have to reread you read the entire thing to get it. So I'm all for
really excited.
Neatly packed detail. It's heavy, but there's some special stuff in here too, so I'm happy to get these. Another book was by R.A. Salvatore's Timeless, a Drizzt novel, or I don't even know how to pronounce that, but I do believe that it involves the Drow. I hear from the comments that, you know, it was kind of hard to write the drow. It's just pure evil. They would have blown each other up. So there has to be kind of more like a clan-based, almost unhealthy family ties kind of relationship to make it sustainable.
Interesting.
So that they don't just blow each other up and then kill each other. So I know Ari Salvatore from the Star Wars universe. And the things that he had done there in the Legends time. Some of them good, some of them whoa. And so I'm looking forward to these books. So thank you, Kristen and Andrew.
So Kristen and Andrew also did me a solid at New York Comic Con, and they picked up an arc of Circle of Shadows by Evelyn Skye for me. This one is out in January 2019, and the reason I wanted to read this one is because it is a fantasy novel that's inspired by feudal Japan. There are two main characters, Sora and Damon, and they're both training to be part of the society that is going to be that consists of people marked by the gods so that they can train in fighting arts and magic in order to protect their kingdom. But they have to prove themselves, and in order to do so, they kind of encounter this group that seems suspicious to them, and they decide to infiltrate, or at least Sora does, and the story goes from there. And I'm so looking forward to this one. I really like the cover a lot. I think it's the colors of it. So we'll see what I think.
And then Rachel from Hello Chelly thought I would appreciate The Revenge of Magic, which seems to me a middle grade-y kind of semi-YA take about how you know, the books of magic were discovered, and only people born after the discovery day can actually use them. And it cuts to Washington D.C. in the present, where our main characters exist. So I'm actually already sold. Just the cover alone and just the premise I'm really like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. So very, very appreciative for Rachel for throwing this my way.
Rachel from Hello Chelly lent me her arc of Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix by Julie C. Dow, which is, I actually just mentioned the first book earlier. This is the second book, and this is told, I think it's like a decade later, and it's told from the perspective of the Snow White character. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this. That one's out in November. And the last book is Carrot, My Friend DJ. It is A Crown of Wishes by Roshni Chokshi. This is the companion sequel to The Star-Touched Queen. And this one sort of involves more of a game type situation and has a different main character entirely, and I'm very much looking forward to checking it out.
Awesome. So we had Out of Our Pockets, out of the kindness of our friends, and now out of the kindness of strangers, but not really too strange because they are the publishers that send us stuff.
We are so grateful to all of the publishers and people who take time and money to send us all of this fantastic stuff that we are going to be reading. Pretty Little Secret by Jennifer Ryan. This is clearly a cowboy romance. A Notorious Vow by Joanna Shupe, and this is from the 400 series. And this one is in New York's Gilded Age, so historical romance. My One and Only Duke, which is by Grace Burrows, and this is apparently sort of a Cinderella story, so I'm actually very intrigued by that. And last but not least, we have A Duke Changes Everything. So those are all the romances I got recently. Most of them are from Avon Books. This one is the only one that is from Forever Romance, so thank you!
Let's move on to the middle grade stuff now. And so we got a box called Sanity and Tallulah. And it says, blast off for the first book in a new sci-fi graphic novel series by Molly Brooks.
Cool.
Best Friends, Space Station, Science Lab, What Could Go Wrong? It's so much awesome.
What could go right?
So it's got this little kind of fringy paper. We're actually unboxed. When we got it in the mail, I said Alexa we should unbox it for the first time, like with a thing.
Fun to clean up. Crazy paper.
Sanity and Tallulah, Molly Brooks new series. What is
like
this? It's Disney Hyperion. What is? Oh, it's probably Space Ice Cream. It's sweet and silky and purple fluffle, laced with colorful sprinkles and a flavor for you to discover. So I think it's space cotton candy.
Oh my god, that's so fun!
So thank you Disney Hyperion for arming us with space cotton.
Oh, it is cotton candy. It does say.
Awesome, lovely. And then there's more space candy that comes in a test tube. I assume this is candy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. And then it's got.
Ooh.
I don't even know what this is.
What are you?
Galaxy Slime.
Fun time.
Oh, is this like what all
I bet you could play with it. It's like silly funny.
Where were you 15 years ago? Well, not 15. Where were you 20 years ago? No, that's not even true anymore. Where were you 25 years ago when the Ninja Turtles and the Retro Mutagen Ooze was out? I needed you. I had to create this stuff in the bathroom for myself. Didn't start out right.
But this is cool.
Pretty mug.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's in the form of a beaker.
That is very cute.
That is gorgeous. I will probably end up cooking with this.
It's
and here is the book, Best Friends and Mad Science. Aww. I am so down for this. I'm so glad I get to read this. Caterpillar Summer, so Far Cry. It's a story about a girl and her younger brother's kind of special needs. So it's Cat is the girl and her younger brother's name is Chicken. I don't know what that means just yet, but I kind of do read kind of books like
Ignore
this.
me while I clean
definitely
schmutz on my lap.
is cool with that. We have Let Sleeping Dragons Lie, which is a Garth Nix and Sean Williams
flippin' fantastic.
book. And that it's Garth Nix already means it's going to be super awesome.
Oh, it's a sequel.
And it's a sequel to Have Sword Will Travel. Just for that, I am buying the hardcover of Have Sword Will Travel.
But also, look at this cover. Look at the dragon.
I know, right? So it's a book too. So obviously, I'm gonna have to blast through like the book one.
Which you will.
So Odo and Eleanor want to be knights, but nobody's asking them to go on quests. So they're just at home with their talking swords. Trusty and talkative swords, and they defend their village with it. So I assume this is post the shenanigans of the first book, and I kind of need it in my life right now. Lastly. I was going to save it for last, but I'm very excited about it. We finally have a finished copy of Dragon Watch Book 2, Wrath of the Dragon King. I don't know why I said it in that voice, but it totally made sense. Also, the main character seems to be riding a rabbit with some wings there. It goes to show you how I haven't read the first one yet. But I'm gonna, and it's going to be awesome, and it'll be a 2-book review along with everything else in Fablehaven that I should have read. Anyway, thank you, Brandon Mull. And thank you, Smith Publicity.
The only middle grade that I have to show is from Bloomsbury, so thank you, Bloomsbury, and it is The Restless Girls by Jessie Burton. If that author name sounds familiar to you, it's because she's the author of the adult novel The Miniaturist. And this one is basically a reimagining of the 12 Dancing Princesses, and I'm so freaking excited about that, so.
12 Lords of Leaping, who knew? The only kind of like adult kind of grown-up novel that we have is called Breach. It's a Cold War magic novel. Something about the power of the Berlin Wall, and you've got Soviet magicians, and you've got a bunch of other stuff too, and so that kind of works. And
I mean, look at do you see the comp? It says the magicians meets the spy who came in from the cold.
Interesting. So yeah, we'll see what that is, how that works.
The Dogs of Christmas by W. Bruce Cameron, and it is essentially a romance that's centered around puppies, which. Nothing wrong with that. Also,
unless it's Marley and Me, in which case
okay,
it's
let's
painful.
Not talk about that. We also have a book called Kill the Queen by Jennifer Estep. I think this is actually a finished copy.
It looks like a finished copy.
It's magic, murder, and adventure because a member of the royal family suddenly becomes a contender for the crown, and so obviously mayhem ensues. I didn't actually think about reading that one until someone else had talked about what it was about, and I was like, Alright, I think we're done with middle grade and adult, so now we're gonna move right on into YA.
Boy, YA. I got a couple of YA ones, so we're gonna start with Witchborn, got in the mail. It's a story about a young girl who was kind of committed to an insane asylum, sort of in this historical London, and she thinks she's done for and really is broken and crazy until like 2 people break her out, and now she sort of gets embroiled in an era where there's 2 warring queens. I don't know which queens they are.
We'll find out.
We'll find out eventually.
I like that cover though.
So it's pretty cool. So yeah, so it's definitely some paranormal-esque.
Now we can go to my YA haul. So first is a finished copy of The Geography of Lost Things by Jessica Brody, which has this not for a review thing. Anyway, not for sale, sorry, is what I meant. Anyway, this one is essentially about a girl who ends up going on a road trip with her ex-boyfriend, so...
Heard about that, yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see.
The next book is The Beast's Heart by Leif Shallacross. I'm pretty sure I may have said that wrong. It's out in February 2019. We got this from Ace Books, and it is a novel of Beauty and the Beast. It is essentially a Beauty and the Beast retelling, basically, so...
Always interested, always here for that.
I got a box of ARCs from Fierce Reads as well, and they are pretty exciting, so thank you. First we have The Lonely Dead by April Henry. She is well known for writing YA thrillers, and in this one there is a ghost element to the mystery. Next we have A Soldier and a Liar. It says, in a world on the brink of war, 4 superpowered teens must work together for peace. And it is out in February 2019. All We Could Have Been by T. Carter, and this one is out April 2019. Wow, that's far. It's about a main character named Lexi, and she moves from one location to the next because she's trying to hide this dark family secret. Then we have a sequel. I haven't read the first book, but I really like this cover. It is Mist, Metal, and Ash by Gwendolyn Clare, which is out in February 2019. I am not looking at the synopsis, but I do know it's a sequel. Next we have a book that I didn't know I wanted to read until it came, and it's called Comics Will Break Your Heart by Faith Erin Hicks. And it's cute because it centers around a main character whose great-grandfather actually is a co-creator for a hit comic series, which is so cute. And obviously there's also a romance in this one, which I'm looking forward to. The Beauty of the Moment, and the tagline says, "Why fit in when you can stand out?" And this is by Tanaz Bathena. And this is about a girl and a boy who are very different from each other, and it talks about how their relationship is messy and complicated. And last,
so real life basically,
but totally not least, is a book I'm very, very, very excited about because I really adore this author, and it is Famous in a Small Town by Emma Mills. And it is about a girl who lives in a small town and all of the things that come along with that. And there's a new boy who moves into town, and things change. And I am very excited because I really love this author. Oh look, we finally made it. Whew, that was some effort.
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this book haul. Tell us, what have you guys bought recently that is very exciting to you? What books in our video are you excited about? I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you for another one soon.